Greetings, Patrick here. Have Cheetah will view, and we are alive for the last show of the week. Trying to set up my gear here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Hi, Liberty. How are you? How are you? Glad you are here. Yeah, we're going to be talking with metal sculptor Greg Scorpion from Scorpion Metals. Hey, Wilkie, how are you? How are you? Glad you're here. Yeah, this is going to be quite a show. I think we're going to learn a lot. Um, I know that Greg is also what is called a stacker, which I've heard the term stacker, but I don't know what it is. So between the sculpting, the metal sculpting, and learning what stacking is, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I definitely think it's going to be a lot of fun. And to those who are new to my channel, I am Patrick. I run a interview show called 8 Questions With, which you guys are here. And if you feel like you want to join the fun, please hit the subscribe button and join. I do this at least 3 times a week with all sorts of interesting people from all around the world. And the doorbell has rang, so that means whenever the doorbell rings, that means we go get our guests. So please share us out, and thank you for being here. And let's go talk to Greg. Greetings, sir. How are you? How are you?
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you perfect.
Cool.
All right. Wow, a lot of people rolled on in here. I want to say hi to everybody. I see Jim is here. Thank you, Jim, for coming in. I see the Mighty Ice Lord is here. Anthony's here. Big Red Bullion is here. Hello, hello, hello. Big Country Scrapper. Hello, hello. Everybody's saying hello. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you're here. I've been looking forward to this ever since you and I agreed to do this show, and I invited you on. I've had one other metal sculptor on the show, and that is Kevin Stone. I think I asked you this already, but I think you do know who Kevin Stone is, right?
It rings a bell, but I'm not good with names. He just I kind of bounce around according to what people's logos look like and what their face look like. That's how I remember stuff. I don't remember, names too well.
He built a lot. He's built life-size dragons, like from the Game of Thrones.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, it's insanely cool. So that was my first experience with a metal sculptor until you and I met. And so I was looking forward to talking to you about this because your art is on a much more accessible scale, so to speak. If people want to buy pieces from you, they can do that without having to rent a C-130 to take it to their house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I also heard this too, and I want to ask you about this. I heard you describe yourself as a stacker, and I don't know what the term means. So so I was going to ask you about that a little bit later as well.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun here. Hello, Liberty. How are you? Hi, Sue. How are you? So, metal sculpting in general. Wow, that's I guess that's out there a lot more than people realize, right? Sculpting with metal sculpting is more popular than we realize. How did you get into it?
So kind of the silver stacker side of stuff, it is a lot more popular. A lot of us pour copper and silver and different things like that. Um, and I've seen some of my friends in the chat appreciate y'all coming. I shared it out to a few different platforms and stuff. But also on the other side of that, you have people that just enjoy pouring metal. Like I've got something here from Dragon Altair. I think he's overseas. This is his channel round that he pours. It's in brass, and I collect a lot of stuff from a lot of different people. If they pour metal, I try to at least get one piece from them, especially if it's a channel round or something like that. Um, but yeah, I just try to do whatever somebody wants. I don't pour a whole lot of volume normally. It's more
Custom.
towards what somebody specially wants. My daughter loves bunny rabbits. I want a 2 ounce copper silver bunny rabbit, that kind of thing. I enjoy building special pieces for people and doing that.
Um, how did you get your start into this, Greg?
So I actually started. We call it the beer flu. Back when the beer flu happened, um, and the world shut down. Um, I'd always been against YouTube and stuff like that, and because all I'd ever seen was my kids messing with it, watching a bunch of craziness, and run across silver stacking, and that's kind of how I started with my Silver Scorpion channel. And then through that channel, I became friends with people who metal detect and pour metal and scrap and everything else. So that's kind of how my other channels came about. And originally, the Scorpion Metals channel was supposed to be um, where I poured metal, and then I ended up starting a business and just kind of dedicated it to the business, the stuff that I make for people, and just kind of updates of what's going on and that.
Now stacking is what exactly is stacking? Is that the piece that you had in your hand before? Do people make individual pieces and that's what they do when you
Um,
get like
so stacking is more of planning for your future, putting away. I mean, you've got copper, and this is actually Silver Stole. I won that on his channel. That's a copper piece he poured. You've got silver, and it can be gotten in various forms. This is actual hand pours, or not hand pours, but pours that were done. This is Shreky Lou from Instagram. This is his channel pours. So these are pure silver. You've got your old silver, stuff like this. You got walking Liberty or standing Liberty. You got your regular quarters, your 50-cent pieces, recognizing the dates. Hey, Silver Oceans, JC. What's 90% silver and what isn't? Your other countries like Canada, I think, is 80% for most of their stuff, and it's the old stuff, not the new stuff. Back when we were on that silver and gold standard kind of thing from back then. So a lot of people didn't know that silver was actually made, in those coins and what percentage it was and that kind of thing. And as I learned that, I got into stacking, collecting series of coins. Like you've got, this is the says currency of the apocalypse, but it's copper and silver rounds. I've got a horrible glare over here. But they make a series of coins, and I kind of got into that. So I do a lot more of that than just stacking now. But I do still try to stack as a fallback. If something happens with a bank, I still have money. I still have some type of
okay.
currency that I can trade in. So I know that I'm safe and my family's safe and taken care of, that kind of
So
thing.
stacking is just another term for saving then, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. So let's go back to your art because you are an artist. And so how do we get our start in the world of art? How old were you when and what was your first discipline that you learned? Did you learn draw? Were you a drawer first, a painter? How did you evolve to becoming a metal sculptor?
So I guess growing up, I've always been a hands-on kind of person. Um, Enjoying taking stuff apart, seeing what makes it work. Even back when I was a kid, my grandpa used to kind of walk me through stuff. Which, I mean, he was paralyzed from the neck down, so he'd have to tell me what to do, and I would do it. Learned a lot from him and kind of ways of life from him and that kind of thing. And it kind of like went aside with working and life and kids and everything. And now that my kids are older and they don't need me to hold their hand all the time, um, it's a little bit easier. And I've kind of gotten back into, learning and playing with stuff with my hands. And that's kind of what I've used YouTube for. Um, Watching other people's videos, learning from them, contacting them, helping other people, learning new stuff to help those people, just stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just kind of always been there, but it's never been much of a drawing or that kind of thing. It was more of a hands-on build and understand, because I can kind of turn stuff in my mind, but I can't, words and stuff are not my thing. English or languages and stuff. Hey, Silverstone.
What was I mean, did you? I mean, so your the gentleman influenced you, but because had he been a metal sculptor before he had his accident that left him a quadriplegic? Was he also a sculptor before that, or did you
So my
never?
my grandpa was a kind of a country guy. He liked hunting, fishing, working with nature, growing plants, um, some teaching and doing of like building things and stuff like that. He was kind of a what I call a well-rounded individual with knowledge. And my dad was actually 3 when my grandpa became paralyzed, so I didn't have as much time with him as my dad did and all. But my dad was also a hands-on. He builds everything he needs, that kind of thing, instead of buying it, and fixes everything that breaks. So between the two of them, that's just kind of the route that I enjoyed. I spent a lot of time with my dad and grandpa doing stuff, not just sitting around watching TV or playing video games, but building stuff, pruning trees, growing flowers, that kind of thing.
So you got your. I mean, you can almost say, I'm thinking about this, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm actually thinking, blacksmiths are probably were the first true metal sculptors, that, if you think about it, they were always in demand for horseshoes and weapons and clothes and armor. I mean, they were probably the first metal sculptors, that were recognized. Um,
Yes.
yeah, that's interesting to think about that. I mean, farmers, you don't really think about, when you think of a sculptor or an artist, you do think of somebody like a Kevin Stone that has a big shop and what have you, but learning from the ground up like you did, I guess it isn't any different really from someone with a pad of paper and a pencil, sitting down and drawing things. I mean, working with your hands and around the materials. I could definitely see how that, how you gravitated toward that. Um,
Yeah, and it's been fun. The silver community kind of got me started back into doing this stuff and fooling with metals. Big Red Bullion's in chat. He taught me a lot. He pours a lot of silver and copper as well. And then I think I just enjoyed learning stuff. So I kind of went from there to 3D printing and then laser engraving wood, and now I laser engrave metal and um, so just kind of anything I can build or make is fun to me. And people call and they're like, hey, I want this done. And it's just fun for me to figure out how to do it. I'll sit down with pencil and paper, and then I'll start 3D printing stuff, and then I'll cast it in sand and pour it in metals, and make it fit together however for what their dream is. And that's fun to me.
uh, now did I'm looking at the chat here. Hey, greetings. Glad you guys are all here. I appreciate you. Hey, Mike, how are you? Once again, if you're new here, this is called Eight Questions With. We interview people from all over the world, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you are interested in that sort of thing, yeah, hit the subscribe button. Get to know each other in the chat. I appreciate you guys being here. Um, so, and it's great that you have a lot of people who already know. You know, I think you already had that creative side in you. You just needed a little bit of push to bring it out, and it sounds like the community that you befriended got you going.
Yeah.
Now had you done any other art other than before you learned about this? Had you done any art other like painting or drawing or sketching? Had you done that growing up?
Uh, Maybe some drawing or sketching, but I mean, I definitely never caught on to that because you can't tell what my pictures are. I'm lucky if I can tell what it is.
Hey, art is subjective, Greg. I mean, it really is. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It really is. Whatever else. I mean, if someone doesn't think it is, the next person will. That's the beautiful thing about art. Is like it always is art, no matter what anybody says.
As long as you can find the right people, you know.
Hmm. What was the first thing that what was the so I mean I like this side of you right here. I want to explore it a little bit with you. Now, were your parents? I mean, you said your dad was hands-on. Was your mom artistic? I mean, where do you think you got this from? Just by doing, seeing by doing or doing by seeing, or was it just something that you read about, or like I said, was your mom artistic? Did she do drawing, or did she like make her own clothes?
No, my mom really didn't. I think it's more from the guys in the family. You know, I mean, I've kind of grown up on a farm, so you have to work on tractors and balers, and you know, build fences and pens for your animals, and you need some special tool. I mean, if you're a farmer, normally you don't have the money to buy it, so you have to build it and make it yourself.
Yeah.
So you slowly kind of learn how to manipulate stuff and do things to be able to have what you need, and it's just kind of been fun to me all the way around.
Now, what was the first time that you were around a fire to pour anything? Do you remember what the first thing that you poured or created? Was it tools for the farm? Was it what did you make the first time that you actually poured? And
First
how
time I
old?
actually poured was just a few years ago, and I started off just pouring bars of aluminum and copper, using a big double forge. And it wasn't too long after that I decided, let's try to make something. So I have a friend that has a homemade 3D printer, and he 3D printed me a couple Batman busts, and I poured those. So one of the first, I guess, kind of artistic things I did was a 25-pound copper Batman.
The Batman figure, or
Yeah, it's like from here up on them.
oh wow, that and how did and that included the facial?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Now, did you make the mold for that, or did you have to order that?
So I got my friend to 3D print it for me in two pieces, and then I casted it in sand to create the mold, and then I poured it. I took the pieces back out and poured that empty cavity with copper.
Um, your focus, I mean, for anybody doing this, your focus must be like, I mean, there's one thing you can definitely say probably about a metal sculptor is you won't see him ever drifting off. Um, your
I
intensity
won't
must
fall asleep.
be your intensity must be very high when you're working. I mean, you must be on your toes, because so many things could go wrong so fast. Um, uh, uh, what was have you ever been hurt doing this? Did you ever have any?
Nothing, nothing more than burning your fingers a few times, and you learn not to touch that anymore. Um, I poured a few bars. I think it was aluminum outside, and my son, he was out there. He was in high school, and he was running around. And we were cleaning stuff up, and I was like, "Hey, make sure you let this stuff cool off before we grab it and take it back in." And he ran over there and grabbed a hold of one of those before it was cool, and he learned. He's never touched one again. He makes sure he's like, "Hey, is this cool?"
Oh,
So
yeah, I'm sure hopefully that didn't scare him off from it all the way, because who knows, maybe your gift will go pass on to him like your grandfathers did to your dad and your dad did to you.
yeah,
I
I'm
do,
I'm
I
hoping
do.
they're kind of high school age now, so it's kind of that time where you kind of run off and figure out what life is about on your own, and then come back after a few years.
Let's see. Big Red says you only do that once, then you learn. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it'd be like, the first time you mess up, and hopefully it's just a finger burn and not anything major. Um, yeah, because I mean, now what is sand casting, and how is that compared to just pure? I've seen people pour their materials, get it super hot. And well, I guess my next question is, how do you get it so hot? I mean, do you use you use anything flammable to increase the heat, or is it just the container
Um,
that it's in?
well, we'll kind of start at one end and work to the other. First, if you're sand casting, you're normally, not always, using something called Petrobond. That's the sand that you buy. It's got like an oil base in it that makes it stick together and allows you to mold it and that kind of thing. There's also, I think it's green sand or something else. Acons. Then there's a clay. Uh, Red will probably put it in there. I can't remember what the clay is called. Um, Delft. That's right, Delft clay. That's a little bit more slick and not as porous, so your pores tend to come out looking a little bit better. But it costs more than Petrobond. Not that Petrobond's cheap. Um, as far as heating the metals, I use both versions, and it depends upon what I'm doing. If I'm just pouring big bars or doing something kind of big, normally I'm going to use my Devil Forge that runs off of propane. Sounds like a jet engine when it's going. If I'm doing something small, like something kind of handheld or smaller than that, then I'm using an electric furnace to do that, and I can do that inside in the basement. My floors are concrete, the walls concrete. It's nothing to catch on fire. But Red's like nothing in the hobby's cheap. Yeah. Um,
No,
and
no.
I think you do it more because you enjoy creating stuff.
Mhm.
It's I haven't seen but very few people actually create metal art that makes a living off of it. It's more you enjoy it. Most of the time, your price range for it, you're just recouping your equipment costs. Basically, you're not making any money because people don't understand why this 1 ounce of whatever you poured them, whether it's silver or whatever, you kind of double the costs, to kind of replace your fuel usage, electricity usage, or whatever. And that's just barely covering your costs. It's not paying you for your time.
Right, right. That's got to be a hard. I mean, I think a business like yours and art like yourself, I think it gets built through word of mouth. Like if you have if you have a great scorpion piece in your house and someone walks up there and says, "Wow, where'd you get that?" And then there's, "Oh, I got this from this guy over here," and then word of mouth, hopefully will. Because I mean, I'm not sure what it is like in the sculpting world, but the in art, the drawing and the painting, a lot of times people buy that and then they go around and they talk about it and they you do shows and stuff like that. Um, has that happened for you yet? Have you done a art show? Have you done a gallery,
So
showing of the pieces that you made?
Uh, kind of with Red, we had a metal pouring group on YouTube where we would make stuff, and kind of like monthly or every other week we would do an auction. Uh, and some of it would sell good, and some of it wouldn't. It all kind of depended on what somebody was looking for, and what was in their price range. The only like real show, I went to Vegas in November, and that was my first time at a coin show. I had a little bit of art with me. I had some 3D prints and other things, but I was more there just to kind of get a feel for how it works, who's there. I met Wild Pig Pours while I was there. He's big on Instagram. So I've made another friendship there. I met some metal refiners and stuff. Figured out where I can buy some of my metals, like if I do a lot of rounds for people or coins, so I found a place where I can buy it a little bit cheaper and keep the cost down for the people who want it and that kind of thing.
Um, Mrs. Scorpion just walked through the door. Hello, Mrs. Scorpion. How are you? How are you? Uh, yeah, I was gonna say. I would think that in your community, you're right. It probably is. A lot of it has to do with word of mouth. I mean, I didn't know much about it at all. Still don't really. But because until I met Kevin, next thing I know, I'm looking at Drogo. He's like 30,000 pounds. I'm like, that's insanity. But it was just absolutely stone cold gorgeous. But at the same time, the pieces that you just showed just a couple of minutes ago, like I said, they're so much more accessible. They're so much more cool in the sense that if someone saw that, they could sit there and say, I'd like to get that. It's almost like a one of a kind. Because I mean, do you make your mark on the pieces that you make? Do you have like a signature? So make
I
it more
do. I
unique.
have like a scorpion metal stamp, and I've also lasered on stuff. Like I said, I do wood burns for people too. I've got people their dog passed away or something happened to one of their loved ones in the family, and they'll reach out to me, and I'll have them send me a picture, and I'll laser engrave it on a piece of wood and seal it and mail it back to them, just as like a memorial and that kind of thing. But um, some of my hand pours and stuff like that, I definitely try to put my mark on. If I'm making coins, I don't normally worry about it because normally the coins are dedicated to an event or something like that, and I don't feel right putting my stuff on there for something that somebody paid for a specialized event or whatever. Now, if they tell me to, I'll do it. But I don't want to infringe on what they want.
Right, right. I'm going to go back to the chat real quick. Everybody says hello, hello. Our good friend Al Lucar comes in, says Scorpions rule. Yeah, you're not whistling Dixie here tonight, Al. Um, can you show us some of your pieces again, Greg? I want to show this off to the chat who is
I don't
here.
really have any of mine right here. But I mean, this is Dragon Altier, I think's how you say it. He's overseas, so this is
Okay.
in brass. I have the only time I've tried to do brass was shell casings, and I just burnt the zinc right out of it. So it turned into copper basically. Um, but brass definitely has its place. I haven't tried it in the Devil Forge yet. I'm sure I'd have better luck with it there. Um, this is copper. Silver Stole did this, and like I said, this stuff was up here close where I could get a hold of it easy. But that's his mark. He does a lot of refining of copper and silver, and I actually just mailed a package to him where we're kind of working together to figure out, if it's cheaper to sell this stuff or let somebody refine it.
Now,
Um,
do you have like I mean, I know you don't have any pieces real close to you, but do you like do you work during the week to build up an inventory to sell? Because I mean, I'm sure people have been discovering you more and more, and I'm sure you've been busier more and more. I mean, art it's like that. I mean, people want what you're doing.
um, Most of the stuff that I do is special order. Um, I find if you're just making stuff, I mean, some of it sells and some of it doesn't, and then you have to turn right around and remelt it and turn it into something else, so you wasted time, electricity, gas, money, sandpaper, you name it. So I'm kind of more of a custom thing.
Yeah,
Um,
made on
I
demand.
am looking, and actually, I just ordered 100 copper round blanks. They should be in the next couple of days. But I am looking to mint a few kind of ideas that I have and see how they go. And if that takes off decent, then I may add some silver blanks to it. But basically, I'm just taking them and laser engraving, dragon's head or a skull or something like that. Put my logo and the name of a series on the back and do like mini mintages of like 20. something like that. And if that's something that I find that people like, then I'll do more of it. Um, but that's kind of my thing. I still work full time, and then I'm trying to make custom stuff for people. So I don't have a lot of free time, so to speak. I don't really watch TV. I just work and sleep.
Right, right. I miss yeah, I can understand that. So basically your pieces are made on demand. I put the website, I put Greg's website on top of the message here. If you want to have a piece made for you, custom made, you can find his information there. He also has a YouTube channel down below. You can and an Instagram, which you can contact him at if you're interested in getting a piece, a one of a kind piece. This is art here. This is not mass made. This is a individual piece. Um, just like a painting or a drawing or any other or ceramics or anything else, one of a kind. And how do metal sculptor pieces such as yours, how do they gain value? Will they become more valuable, like regular art, like the more you get well known, the more your pieces will get well known?
Possibly, I guess, to some degree. I don't know. I've never really thought about it or looked at it to see. Um, I probably, if you make a whole bunch of awesome stuff that a lot of people knows about, then when you're no longer here, it'd probably be valuable. I mean, I don't know, but that seems to be the way the paintings go. All of a sudden, they're worth a whole
I
lot
don't
when they're
know
no
though.
longer alive.
Why do I have a feeling that I think it happens for both sides of the fence for you guys? Maybe because of the level of difficulty. Like now, and plus what it takes to create. Obviously, I think it's much cheaper to do a drawing or a painting. I mean, I know canvas isn't cheap or what have you, but the materials that you guys use to make what you make, I mean, I don't know. I would think that your pieces become a little bit more valuable. Plus, like you said, the materials that you use. I mean, if you use silver or what else? What else do you never use gold, right? That's
I've done one gold. It was actually somebody in the community on you that watched a lot of our stuff on YouTube. He brought a bunch of stuff that he'd panned and found, over the years, and he wanted it made into a bar. So, we melted it, made a bar out of it, and then laser engraved, the weight on it for him, which is what he wanted. So instead of having a bunch of little pieces, now he had like a quarter ounce or something like that, all in one piece. Um,
that's
and
incredible.
Cons is in the chat there. There's stuff on the way to him right now. Shipped out yesterday morning, I think, that I made him. So not everything I do is metal, that's kind of how I started, and I do plenty of it, but I do a lot of 3D printing, custom stuff, certain sizes, down to half a millimeter or whatever, that they want their idea and make it happen.
Uh, are you surprised to see how fast it took off for you? I mean, I know you said right now it's still struggling to break even, so to speak, but I have a feeling that I think if you get out to a couple of shows and show off your wares, I think that would probably increase the demand. Like, do you do street fairs at all? Have you gone to anything like that? I mean, I know there's galleries, but have you tried doing street fairs or sometimes towns will hold they'll do celebrations. They'll have vendors come out there or craft shows or what have you. Have you ever done
So
anything like that?
I haven't yet, but it is in the works. I've got a racetrack that's close by that I'm looking to start doing some stuff at. I've got a rodeo that's close by. I'm looking to do some stuff at. I've kind of been talking to both of them, selling the corner. um, just that kind of thing. And as I said, I'm still really just building and getting my name out there and what I can do for people. To me, it's more what I can do for people than, trying to get rich or something like that. I enjoy making those pieces or those things that you can't get anywhere else, or if you do get it somewhere else, in order for it to be cost effective, you've got to order like 2,000.
Right.
um, I can make that one or two, or if I've had people come to me for weddings and they're like, I got five groomsmen, I want this on laser on each knife. Not a problem. I can knock that out for them. So it's specialized, coins for events, dog tags. Actually just ordered something new. It's like a pendant. It's kind of an oval pendant that's already made to go on a necklace. So I should be able to laser that, put somebody's picture on it or whatever. Um, just always thinking outside the box.
How do artists do that before the laser? How do they do it? Was it all done by hammer or
Yeah.
was
Engrave. Yeah.
that engraving? Is that what was it because engraving that was sort of a that's sort of like rough and ready, right? It's not nearly as fine as a laser printer.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where they'd have to have the artistic skill of drawing too. I mean, if you're putting somebody's picture on something, one little slip, you got to start over again. It's a whole new piece. Um,
Right.
I get to build it in the computer and make sure it's right, and then tell the laser to put it on there. So there's not as big of a chance of it not coming out right.
Do other people look at that and to me, I think it's amazing. For one thing, you gotta have it in your head what you're gonna do. But I know there's in any sort of art, there's always purists, you know. Do you get criticized for that, for using a laser printer rather than engraving, or you just to me, I don't I just think it's amazing that you can create whatever you do. But I
Yeah,
mean,
not so much. I've had a few people say something, and there's a big difference between, you know, burning a piece of wood with a laser and burning a piece of wood by hand. The time is one thing. It's a huge difference in time. Um, and I see Al Lucard or whatever.
yeah.
I've had some issues, but I figured a lot of it out on the 3D printing. If you need some help, let me know. I'll be glad to help. But it's it's um it's a completely different art style, technically. You know, the lasers most of the time you're going to have more detail, and it's going to be a finer picture, and it's going to be graded and more even, where the handwork is not going to have as much detail because you can't get as small as that laser does. But it's still a completely different style, and it still has its place. I mean, it looks great, so it kind of depends upon the person and what they want.
Let's see. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick. Every saying hello. Cyclonic Silver says hello. See, the bat says he sees you do 3D printing. Does your machine act up as much as mine? Yeah. Are those machines really fragile? I mean, I've seen where I see laser printers used, which is and I see them used. I like watching some of the little Matchbox restore channels. They'll take the car and they'll use the laser there to either clean it up or to create. They'll fabricate pieces with it. 3D printers. Um, how much does a machine like that run, and how do you recoup the cost for it?
It all depends. It depends on what you're trying to do, as to which machine you need, and how detailed you want it to be, as to which machine you need. Recouping the cost, it takes a while. It takes especially depending upon the piece. Now I can do wood burns like this for people, of family members or dogs or animals, and I charge about $50 a piece for them. And it normally takes me about a week to do it. It's 8 to 10 hour laser burn. Um, and then I'm gonna coat the front at least twice in polyurethane to seal it and keep it safe, so it doesn't scratch the first time it falls over or whatever. And I'm gonna seal the sides and the back as well. Um, that machine was like $3,000,
Yeah.
so I can recover my cost on that decently fast. Um, Now I've got a $10,000 metal laser that I'm making like $1 or $2 for each thing that I laser. It's going to take a while to recover the cost on that. could you want to charge somebody $20 for laser and something? And they're like, I never mind. I didn't know it was going to be that much. And I'm like, well, you know,
It's so I just have to laugh at that because I'm thinking, well, what do you think? What do you think when you go to a craft, to an artist? I want you to take my picture and draw it, or I want a replica of Andy Warhol's Campbell soup can. Well, what do you think is going to cost you? It's going to have to, it's you're professional. It's like, it's sort of insulting to have to me anyway, to sit there and say, well, yeah, it's too much. T There's no price on art, this is a one of a kind thing you're making for 'em, and wow, it's just
yeah. And I can
amazing.
understand both sides. I mean, I've never been one to have a lot of money in my pocket. Um, so I can understand, you're just kind of testing the waters to see, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to back off because that's a lot deeper than my pockets are. But at the same time, I kind of, you have to remind yourself that it is custom made. It's to you. It's what you want, contoured to what you want. So I mean, you kind of you got to expect to pay a little something for it. But I mean, I always try to be upfront on prices. And I mean, there's been a couple times I didn't even think about the price. I was just excited that I had something cool to do or whatever. And then later they're like, "Oh, what's the price?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to charge you for my time. We'll just make it a wash at what it costs me to do it." Um,
Material.
yeah.
Mm. Uh, do people try to, especially, I mean, it's a sort of a bad question to ask, but I'll ask it. Do sometimes people take advantage of your generosity and your art? Do you find that happening sometimes? Like, oh, Greg will do it because he's my friend, even though
Really,
they don't
not
understand
really.
that. Good, good. I'm
I
glad to hear that.
and I kind of have different tiers of stuff too. If it's coming from somebody on YouTube that's trying to uh, create stuff to give away on their channel, I've been there. I've done giveaways on my channels, that kind of thing. I try to keep the price down a little bit more for them, especially if it's something simple. Now, if it's somebody like out of the blue that's like, I need this done, and it's just one, and it's all custom and stuff. I mean, I'm not going to charge them an arm and a leg, but I'm gonna make sure I get something for it. You know.
Oh, by all
Um,
means, by all means. I mean, the pieces, the piece. They say like sometimes when you take a car off a car lot, or you buy a watch, or anything else, when you buy a boat, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it loses 30% of what it was worth. To me, art is the opposite. It's like once you get it in your hand and you leave, that thing goes up 30% because it's a
yeah,
one of a kind. It's one of a kind. You're not gonna be able to get it. Not gonna be able to snap your fingers and go to eBay and get it. And especially if it's personally designed for you. To me, it's like, man, that's if you want that kind of action, you need to respect the artist who's creating it.
well,
That's
I
how
mean,
I.
people that understand art understand that, but I don't find that there's a whole lot of people that understand really
Mhm.
what art is and how much time is involved. And that's one of the reasons why I try to show stuff that I make people on my channel, so they get some idea of the different steps you have to go through and what kind of time you spend and that kind of thing. You spend 8 hours making something, but they only paid you $20 for your 8 hours. It's like, you know, how can you complain about that? What would you like to make an hour? You know,
Yeah,
um, so I try to remind them of what actually goes into making this stuff and the
sure.
different steps that it takes and the type of equipment you've got to have to be able to make it, accomplish it.
Now, do you go to other, I mentioned, have you shown at a gallery, or at a street fair? But have you gone as a, as a spectator? Do you walk around and look at what other people are doing, and how they're doing it? Or, I mean, I know I've heard you mention, your community here, but I mean, I'm sure there's still parts about your art as with them as well. I'm sure there's certain things, certain techniques that you've discovered on your own, but you don't necessarily share with everybody. But I mean, is it a is it a is it a is it a discipline that you can talk to other people about? Like, when you see a piece, and let's say you go to a fair and you see a piece that you like, are you able to ask the artist about the piece, or is that something like you don't do that? You don't ask another artist how they do things.
I think that depends upon the artist. There are some things that some people like to keep secret. So people can't learn what they do and take business away from them, I guess.
Right.
Um, Me, I'll teach you everything I do. I don't mind at all. You have to overcome the money and discipline to buy what you need first, and then after that the learning is a whole nother challenge. It's like the laser. I got a laser in and there's no instruction booklet with it. The book had like 2 pages and it says hook this here, congratulations, you have a laser. Didn't tell you how to work it. So I've
How
spent
dangerous?
eight
How
months
dangerous is that? How dangerous is that laser? I
Uh,
mean,
it's 100 watt. I can cut metal in half with it. You know, um, it's a whole learning curve. So not only did I buy a $10,000 laser, but then I'm turning around spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on classes from people that have enough knowledge to at least give me a starting point. So then I can start learning stuff myself because without that knowledge that they have, you really can't do anything with that laser. You have no idea what to do. There's so many different settings and so many things that are do, and you don't know which direction to go.
right. I guess the number one rule is don't get hit by it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's more
okay,
glasses for your eyes than anything. It has to be in proper focus for it to work. So if you're lasering something here, and this is where you're shooting, if you reach through the laser here, it just breaks the beam. It's not in focus, so it's not going to burn you.
okay, okay. Now, how does and since this is you're the creative side of this, does your wife help you out as far as the business end of it? Does she look for shows for you to attend to, or do you how do you shop for your materials? I mean, I know
So I shop and do stuff in different ways. She helps. She'll place some orders for stuff that's needed. She handles the billing. Tries to send out, the I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but the bill to people for what they ordered.
the invoice.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, invoice. And she tries to help watch the money and stuff. She is starting to learn some of the machines and how they work and how to do things. And all that helps out a whole lot. Because I mean, you can't. It's really hard to track your orders, make stuff, then get it shipped out and get people billed, and it's hard to keep up with all that by yourself.
Yeah.
And I order stuff. I got a. It's not eBay. Um, I don't know. I just paid like $150 for a year um, with an account, so I don't have to pay shipping and that kind of thing. So I order a whole lot on there. And over time, you find people that do things like West Side Stacker. He does a lot of stickers and stuff. He's out in California. So I got my first set of stickers from him, thanks to Cons. Um,
What are
and that it's finding, if I can find somebody else in the community that does this stuff, that's not a big business. It's a little man trying to make a living. I'm gonna order from them unless the prices are crazy, because I'd rather support them just like they're going to support me and that kind of thing. So there's been a few things that I've pulled from a couple different people in the community to put something together for somebody. I kind of did my part, or I did the finishing part of everything that they needed or whatever. And I try to be resourceful that way. Because like I don't make stickers, but he does, and he does a great job. So he custom made stickers to put on a
what
piece, and then
what are stickers? Is that like a type of piece that you create?
so let's see here. Stickers. Here.
But is it like is it like a regular sticker, like something
Yeah.
you peel and put, oh,
Yeah. So, you
I
know,
thought it was a technical term here. Going like I
no,
think is
no,
this like a
it's just
coin or
stickers.
something
You
like that? It's a
know?
sticker.
So I had to get them to make me little ones that were rectangular for an
Okay.
object that I was trying to produce for somebody else, and I gave him the measurements, and he die cut them to those measurements and everything. So he did a great job. So I had to 3D print the stuff. He had to send me the stickers. I had to put the stickers on it, and then I coated it in a glaze to keep it safe and to finish filling it in. Um, so yeah, I mean, I try to be resourceful, and I don't mind reaching out to somebody else for something. His prices were way cheaper than Sticker Mule, so I was like, yeah, this helps me keep the cost of my product down, so I'm going to use you. You know,
So do you use the stickers to help market your piece? I mean, I know you don't put them on the piece, but do you if it was on display, would the sticker
um,
be underneath it or on the bottom of the piece necessarily?
sometimes it kind of depends. Most of the time, like if sometimes if I'm taking a picture of something, you'll put a sticker behind it. Coin community and a bunch of other communities, it just seems to be a standard that you have a sticker made for your channel, and when you
Uh-huh.
send mail out, you put that sticker in the package. So if
Right.
I have stickers made, I normally will slide one in the package with whatever I'm mailing somebody that they had me
Sure.
make.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, okay, now I get it. So you do what there's a lot of communities that do that. They do the sticker thing. Um like the van life people and the cruise people. So stickers are sort of like a calling card for your community. Um
yes.
I always thought patches would work better, but I guess stickers would work as well. So so you collect stickers from everybody that you work with.
I've got a huge package of stickers from people all over YouTube, from all over the world. At some point, I'm gonna hang them on something and put them on the wall. I might get shot.
Uh,
It's gonna happen.
now, I mean, this is my idea would be to take some wood, would take a piece of wood and put the stickers on the wood and then urethane it.
um, I think what I'm gonna do is put them on plexiglass. That's kind of been my idea for a couple years, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. But at least if I put it on plexiglass, I can hang it, I can move it, I can take it wherever. But I mean, at this point, I've got a whole wall. I mean, it's not a little amount of stickers that I have. I've got a huge amount of stickers.
That's fun. That's fun. I thought I was some technical piece of equipment. I'm like, okay, what's a sticker? Like I like what's a stacker? Well, I don't know what a stacker is. What's a stacker? I think let's see. I'm
And
sure this is
and
very.
rule
I'm
two,
sure this is very entertaining to the chat. They're going like, this guy is a noob. Uh,
rule two IC. I'm actually working on something for him right now too.
for which
Uh,
one?
Rule two IC. It's
Okay.
kind of in the prepping community, that kind of thing. And I've been around long enough. I've made friends across lots of different communities. I've got van life. I've got metal detectors. I've got
Sure.
preppers. I mean, and I enjoy learning the stuff that they do. So I pop in and watch when I can, and
I've
sometimes
been
I put
trying.
their
I've been trying to get a metal detector to come on here. I really want to bend somebody's ear. I saw one out there, and I was like, man, this guy looks really cool. I'll see if he wants to come on and talk. But I noticed that he
so
was like, no, no, no. I think metal detectors are rather private, as far as that goes. Talking about
River
territory.
Styx. I'm sure River Styx will come on and talk to you. I'm good friends with him. I've met him quite a few times. We've hung out. He's comes up normally around November and hangs out at my house for about a month. And he's kind of a van life, metal detecting, diving, a little bit of everything. But if you wanted to talk with him, I'm sure I can get him in contact with you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love to pick up. I would love to pick the brain of a metal detector. I think that's a really interesting. I think that's a really interesting thing to watch. I've seen those on the tube, and um, I like the guy. I have mixed emotions. I love the guys who go out there and they detect on the beach. I think that's a lot of fun. I do have a problem with the ones that do battlefields, though. That I don't really particularly care for, to
Mm.
be honest with you. I just think that what's there should be left there. But that's just my own personal preference. Um, you were a veteran as well, right? You served.
Yes, sir.
What branch were you in? What was your job there?
Army 13 Bravo cannon crew member.
A cannon, like a
Yes.
artillery.
Yes.
Nice. Do you work on the? You work on? Did you work on the Paladin? Or
No, I was 105 millimeter.
okay, okay, okay. Um, as far as your pieces go, what has been your favorite piece that you created, and who was it for?
Honestly, probably Khan's 10-ounce silver bar. That's probably my favorite so far.
That must have been
Um,
that must have been that is it hard? I mean, how do you know which materials burn at what temperature? I mean, is there a gauge and on how hot you can burn something before you ruin it?
um, your metals most of the time you can kind of tell, because you're going to watch it as you're doing stuff. Um, you don't want to superheat them because you start to run into problems. But if you can keep them down, you want them liquid, maybe a little extra heat so it stays liquid as it flows. But you don't, eclectic. um, you don't. I mean, once you've turned a metal to liquid, you? Why would you keep going? You want another 10, 15 degrees, but not. You know, you don't need to boil it.
Now, do you do tutorials on this on your channel? Like you said, you learned a lot by watching other people's YouTube. Um, but now
Yeah.
is it sort of weird but is it one of those things where you picked it up through what other people put on YouTube, but do you yourself again feel comfortable showing off your techniques to other people, or do you hold something back? I mean,
No,
because to
I'll
me,
teach them. I'll teach them everything I do. I don't mind at all. Um,
because you
it's
feel I'm sorry. Do you feel like the more people that know how to do this and are doing it, the more business that it will generate for you?
not really. I find it's more that a lot of people just don't. It's not something that a lot of people are willing to do. I mean, not too many people want 2,000-degree metal, in their hands. Um, not a lot of people are going to put forth the effort to buy the equipment to do it, take the time to learn it. Um, I've taught quite a few people how to do some of the stuff that I do. If they contact me and ask, I've got no problem with getting on a live chat with them and walking them step by step how to do it. I would rather do that than them get discouraged in the beginning and stopping or end up hurting themselves, you know. Um, so I don't mind taking the time to teach people, and that's something as I open my business up over time. That's something I would really love to be able to do in person with people.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't ask what state you were in. I hear a southern accent. Are you in a southern state at this time, or are you rural, or are you in a city setting?
I'm in the country in Virginia.
Okay. So that's got to be a little bit harder because I was talking to you. I was asking you about galleries and street fairs. So it must be a little bit. I mean, if you do a art show, that's a pretty big endeavor for you, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'd have to because there's not really much for a big city around here. Closest is like Lynchburg, and I don't even think they have any type of art galleries or anything like that there. Not that I know of. It's not really my thing. Um, I like looking at other people's stuff, but I don't. I don't too much like being out in public anymore, and I have to. The world's just got crazy, and you don't know what people are going to do. So I'd rather
Uh,
stay at home and make my own art and play with stuff where I know I'm safe. And
that
you know,
sucks. That sucks. That really, you know what? That's a really that's a really powerful statement right there. And it sucks that here you are in a position to go out there and show your art and show it to people and have people look at what you've created to your hard work and your dedication, and yet you can't really even go out there to do something like that because of the state of the world.
yeah. I
It
mean, I'm not. I'm not. I can't say I'm fearful of people, but I'm just not willing to put up with the craziness.
no, I totally understand, Greg. I totally understand. Yeah, I totally understand. I get it.
They're doing that.
This is the first time. Well, this is the first time I've actually heard anybody comment like this, and it's like, yeah, it really sort of sucks because you could be growing your business right now. You could be doing that. I mean, it's nice growing it on the tube, but it's so much better, yeah, you could show to we got 11 people in our chat, and you could show us some pieces here. But if you did a street fair in Lynchburg or in Charlottesville or wherever, you could have up to 20, 30,000 people walk by and look at your booth and what you're doing, and you could actually have a chance to make money as an artist.
Yeah, and eventually I'll get there. That's kind of why I'm starting to go to different things and that kind of thing. But it's having stuff set up to do it is, it takes a while. It takes a while to grow. It
Yeah.
takes a while to get what you need. It takes a while to feel comfortable, and that kind of thing. And yeah, Miss Scorpion, I cannot take her to art galleries. I mean, just look over my shoulder here.
Uh-huh. Oh, you get okay. Um, do you okay, when you're not working, I mean, when you do go out there out in the world, do you like are those places you like going to? Do you like going to street fairs and seeing what's out there? Or do you get inspired? You get inspired by what you watch, what you see?
I don't mind. It's kind of based off the weather. Um, I don't do heat very well, so if it's cool out or cold, I don't mind. But they don't run fairs then. You know, it's
Yeah.
always middle of summer, 300 degrees, and I'm not going out in
Wait a
that.
minute. This is coming from a guy who handles 2,000 degrees with no problem.
It's different. The heat's just here, not all over.
Oh my gosh, that's a yeah, that's plus I guess the other part too is if he had to do shows like that, you would definitely have to build up with the inventory. You got to have the pieces made and ready to go, and
Yeah,
and put it on the trailer and everything else, and if he stayed overnight, you have to make sure you secured your. But that's too bad. I've worked the street fairs before. They're a hell of a lot of fun. A great way to meet people. Great way to press the flesh, meet other peers, and sell a lot of stuff. Let me ask this to the people in the chat because there's a lot of people that are also doing what you're doing. I take it. What about you guys in the chat? Do you guys go out to street fairs or craft fairs yourself? Do you sell your art at these places? How has been your experience? I think Conscious Stacker says it's for shit. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now is that the same reason though why Greg mentioned? Is it the same reason that he gave why it's for shit? Because I got to be honest with you. I'm sure this summer around this country, I think we're going to see a lot less people go out in places like that because of what you mentioned. And that's just a damn shame.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's gotten. I mean, when I was a kid, I could walk around the little town out here all night long, and nothing's going to happen to me. If something did, like I fell and broke something, then whoever's going to come pick me up and take me home, because everybody knows everybody. You could trust your kid with other people, stuff like that. And nowadays, it's not like that. Like I don't want my kids even outside my house, because you just don't know. Somebody's going to ride by and shoot at them, or, it's ridiculous now. And it
Yeah.
used to be old ways. And I say old ways. I'm not old. I'm still young. Um, but I mean, even when I was a kid, people still helped people. People still looked
Yeah.
out for one another, you know. And I don't see that now. I don't know where it's gone. It's like everybody's take, take, take. Nobody ever gives, grandma across the road can't cut her grass, but nobody's gonna go do it for her. They don't care, and I'm like, that's not right. You should be helping your neighbors, your friends, and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
even on this channel, I put out a 10-ounce silver bar for free. It's a few videos back, and it's like a help your neighbor kind of thing. Help somebody. Just make a video of helping somebody. It can go viral to other people and get people to try things that they wouldn't normally do, and see that it's okay to help somebody and step outside that comfort zone for a few minutes and make a difference in somebody else's life. And I've got like 2 entries. That's it.
This just yeah. That's just
Two
what
hundred fifty dollars with the silver, and that's it.
that blows my mind. That blows my mind. And very generous of you to do that. Is that contest still going on your channel now?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna highlight that when in the description box about doing that. Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing gift to give to somebody, just for paying it forward. Um, and I'm sure your kids are learning from that as well when they see you be an example of helping other people and paying it forward like that. It does get passed down. I believe that it got passed down to me, from my parents. Um, yeah. Let me ask the chat. Now, is there any questions that you want to ask Greg about his way of doing things? How did you get into coin collecting? I mean, is that what you do, coin collecting, or is stacking different again? Is it just getting coins, then melting them down for future use, or do you collect coins as a hobby?
Um, I do a little bit of both. I was looking for my silver shot. So if I'm gonna melt silver, normally it's gonna be silver shot. It comes in little balls, 3/9 fine silver. You can normally buy that cheaper than anything else. And I buy it from reputable dealers, so I know it is actually 3/9 fine silver, and I'm not trying to send somebody. I'm not paying for something that's not what it is, and I'm not creating art for somebody that turns out to be half copper or something like that. Um, Stacking is completely different from the numismatic side of coin collecting. And a lot of people will start stacking, and then the collecting side kicks in and they start collecting and they forget to stack and that kind of thing. So, it's kind of, it just depends on what makes you happy. I mean, these may have a numismatic value to them. But if everything turns upside down, it's still worth silver, So it's still, in a way, to me, you're still stacking weight. You're still protecting yourself, even though you paid extra for it. Um, but at the same time, you still want to get it as cheap as you can, So stacking is more of buying weight and stacking weight as cheap as you can. And the numismatic side is, they only made 300 of these coins, so you're paying 3 times the silver price for it because there's only 300 made. And in a year or two from now, you may want to sell it for 3 times the value or 4 times the value, because nobody else can find it anywhere unless they
Right.
buy it from you. And then there's the old currencies. It's a whole completely different ball game. You can grade them. Like Standing Liberty quarter, if it was graded MS 70, which is perfect grade, meaning no scratches, no blemishes, and all, it's a 25-cent coin face value. It would probably be worth $5,000. So I mean, some people really get heavy into that and pay high dollar amounts for coins, and that's just not my thing.
No, no. Now, where do you get your coins at? Is it just something do you go to the bank to get these things, or do you trade with people? I mean, I don't know how coin collecting works. I know that they have shows and stuff like that. But to me, it's like stacking is you're supposed to be saving money and put the money in different forms of the metal that they are
Yeah.
versus collecting coins, which is putting money out. You're spending money to get the coin,
Yeah.
and so it's like you said. I guess it's two sides of a coin. Um,
Correct. So
right.
the cheapest, by far the cheapest way um, to collect silver is they call it coin roll hunting. So you go to your bank and say, I want a box of $500 worth of halves, and you take it home and you search it looking for anything that's 1970 or before in date because they have silver in them.
Oh,
Then you're
okay.
paying 50 cents for that coin that you keep, and it's worth $15. You know, a lot of people do that. A whole lot of people. There's whole YouTube channels that do nothing but that, and people pay to watch them and buy $5 worth of pay $5 for them to search a roll for them and mail them what they find and all kinds of things. I enjoy doing some of that here and there, but it's not
Okay.
my game.
Right.
If I want some silver, I want some silver. If I'm bored and just want to search some rolls, well, I'll go to the bank and get a few. Not a big deal. But
Okay.
I'm not doing that to entertain people. I'm not. I'm not about that. To me, um,
I've
I
never
guess.
seen anybody do that before.
Yeah, I
But
guess paying for the entertainment is okay because that's what you're paying for is the entertainment if you're buying them. And if you look at it that way, I guess it's okay. But the amount that some people pay for some of this stuff is just crazy to me. It's like you could have gone to the bank and searched a couple rolls and found it for 50 cents, and you just paid like $15. You could have gone to the store and bought it in the first
what
place.
do they look for? Are they? I mean, I'm not pennies necessarily, but it's like nickel and dimes and quarters. I mean,
So there is some stuff in all currencies. Um, if you do pennies, you've got wheat pennies. If it's a red wheat penny, then it's worth a lot more than one of them that's gotten kind of dark and dingy, that kind of thing.
okay.
Um, Nickels, there's 3 years during the war that they're 35% silver. They did that to reduce the I don't remember which metal it was when they were stamping them and stuff because they needed that metal for the war, so they introduced silver. So it's only 3 years. But there's also buffalo nickels, Indian head pennies, all this old stuff. If I run across that stuff, I'll pick it up, but I don't buy it because it's to me it's more of a numismatic thing, and it's that's just not valuable to me. I'm more after the weight. Quarters, 1964 is the date. If it's 1964 or earlier, it's 90% silver for your dimes, your quarters, and your half dollars.
Okay.
So
Now,
any of those,
do you melt that now? I mean, if you get the coins, do you melt that? That's when you start stacking.
no, because well, like I said, so this half dollar right here, which I got just here recently, it's worth like $15. It's not worth $15 in silver.
Okay.
And if I melt it, I'm also mixing the copper and other metals into that silver.
So,
So technically it's 90% silver. Technically it's 925, which is sterling silver. I mean, it's right there on the line with 925. So you could melt it and add just a little bit of silver to it and get it to a 925 and sell it as jewelry and make a killing, you know. Um, but that's just not really that's not my thing. I like to collect these for the numismatic value of later in life. So I'm trying to create a roll of each type of old money for each one of my kids, and I have 6 kids, so I've got a long way to go. But the 40% has, I think I'm almost there. The 90%, I think I'm like two in, something like that. I've got a long way to go, and I keep getting distracted and forget to buy the stuff. But I get it from other people on YouTube. A lot of us in the coin community, when we send mail, we'll send a Mercury dime or a regular dime,
yeah. Oh,
which
that's
is
cool.
90%. Along with our sticker and that kind of thing. I've won a bunch of giveaways. If you're on if you're messing around, especially the smaller channels, there's a greater chance of winning. But there's a lot of giveaways that are done when they reach certain milestones and stuff like that, as a way to give back to the people who are watching your channel. Um, it's a lot of fun, and that's kind of what got me into it. That and I mean, if you look at the people in the chat, just the friendships and stuff it's
Seeing
made, and
that.
the stuff you get to learn from
I'm
each.
really I'm touched by all the people that came out to see you.
Yeah,
That's really cool. I'm seeing these are all new faces to me, and they're all out here supporting you. And I think that speaks very highly of your character, quite
I appreciate.
honestly. And their talent, and your skill. I think people really respect that, including the gentleman who got you going. Um, I think it's really cool. I do. I think it's really cool. Um, so it's two different styles. I mean, one is a collector and one is an artist. I mean, did you ever see yourself? Do you ever look at the mirror and realize that's what you are? You're an artist. If people say, "Well, what do you do for a living?" Well, I do my day job. And what do you like to do? Well, I like to make art. Are people surprised when you tell them that you're an artist?
Yeah, some people, because I'm no different than anybody else, So when I tell them I pour metals and laser engrave, and do stuff like that for other people, they're kind of like, huh, and I have to show them, and they're like, oh, that's neat, But I don't ever hear anything from them, most of them. Um, every now and then I do. I mean, I've had a couple businesses reach out to me and ask me to make something for them for something, but for the most part, it's just kind of. I mean, I stay busy, but I don't stay like real busy, which
I you
which I'm
know
okay with.
Again, I think it's one of those things. It's a catch 22. It's like you're not real busy, but you could be busy. You could be, but the circumstances we talked about before, plus being in a rural setting. How close are you to the nearest big city? How many hours away are you from the next like 50,000 people in a town?
Probably about I don't know if Greensboro's that big or not. Probably maybe an hour. Greensboro's down there. It's pretty decent in North Carolina. You know,
Okay,
um, I'd say that's probably the closest. And you got Raleigh Durham. That's like an hour and a half. Uh,
okay.
so I mean, not too bad. If
No,
that
not
was my
too bad.
thing, I could swing it. But
Yeah,
that's just not.
not right now.
Nah.
Hopefully, next time you and I talk, that will change. Hopefully so. Hopefully, hopefully the next time you and I talk, you've gone out to a few art fairs, a few craft shows, a few art galleries. You know, gone. Some of your sculpting will people will be buying it more and talking about it more. I just really this it frustrates me to see something like that happen. Like this guy deserves to have his art seen. He deserves to have the success. He's got the skills for it. Let him show it off. Let him make a living at it. You deserve to be paid for your skill. And I'd love to see some of your pieces next time. Next time you and I talk, I definitely want you to save, 3 or 4 pieces that you've done, either woodworking or metal or whatever it is. I definitely want, the coins. I think the coin thing. I think that's brilliant. I think that's really cool. And to me, it'd be really easy to pass along, because that's such a one of a kind item. People love that sort of thing. If you show them that one with the 2 heads of the bird or whatever, someone's gonna see that. Someone's gonna want that because it's one of a kind. And that's what people do. That's what people buy art for. They want it because it's so unique. So I like to see that happen for you next time you come back. You come back here and talk with us. Um, I think that's yeah, that's what I hope for. Um, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions for Greg? If you have any questions, drop them now.
I
This
think
is
half
this.
the people in the chat have my phone number.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I can sense that your community is very tight here on the tube. I'm gonna have to go over there and poke around a little bit more. Do you do live streams yourself? I mean, do you do that on your channel? I,
Not
uh,
much. I always run out of stuff to say pretty quickly. And then I'll forget to read the chat, so people are getting mad. So I just make videos when I'm doing stuff, and I've got a couple friends that'll go live, and sometimes I'll pop in with them, and we'll chat kind of like we are now occasionally. And that kind of gives me a little bit of a break and allows me to unwind from everything I'm making all the time. But yeah, I don't do a lot of lives. I'm hoping to slowly introduce that. I'm sure you've seen a lag in my internet a couple times while we've been up here because I've seen it.
oh, that's StreamYard.
I don't
Stream.
I don't have great internet, so I lose internet intermittently from time to time and everything else. So I'm working on getting better internet. Hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks I'll have superb internet. And then as I can, because it costs a lot of money to get this stuff together, to have a computer that can run live while you're working and the cameras and everything. And then if you're working, you got to remember to try to check the chat, and I'm over here lasering. And so we'll see. I'm hoping to do that.
I can tell you right now, your chat will be very they will entertain themselves. They will definitely will find things to talk about while you're working. That's what happens. Sometimes, like with me, sometimes I get target fixated. I'm just talking to the guests so much that I don't pay attention to my chat too. That's happened to me more than once. I've done this over 400 times, and it still happens to me. Um, so, and that you just try to catch up when you get a chance to. If people want to get if you're going to recommend a channel that someone was just going to come in straight in off the street and want to learn about metal sculpting or stacking, what peer would you recommend them watching and subscribing to?
So if you're wanting to learn about old currencies and maybe stacking, actually I like Mad Stacker. He's a really great guy, and he's really knowledgeable on his dates and stuff. As far as somebody who really knows all of it, I don't know, because like Mad Stacker does a lot of coin hunting, so you can watch him and he points out the NFICs, which is not intended for circulation coins when he runs across them. He doesn't keep them because I don't keep them. They're just basic coins, but you can tell it wasn't made for circulation. It was made to be in a sealed whatever and that kind of thing. He knows his dates. He knows that kind of thing, and he's just laid back and has a good voice. And I've seen him stream for like 20 hours straight before. Really good dude. Great at chatting, watching the chat, doing what he's doing, and that
20
kind of
hours.
thing. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
long time.
that's a long time. That's crazy long.
It's just so much to learn on the old coins because you have die cracks, you have all kinds of other stuff, and I don't know them all. And sitting there listening to some of these guys, they mention that the 1962s were famous for die cracks, and if you find with a die crack, it's worth a little extra, or maybe a lot extra. It just depends. You have is it the 1964 penny that was steel? Mm-hmm. If you have a 1964 penny that's copper, then it's worth like $1 million because they were all supposed to be steel, but a couple of those copper planchets slid through, and yeah, those are highly sought after. I think they know of like 4 of them in the world, and
wow.
But it's just kind of neat how people will pay so much money for something that really isn't worth anything, other than its great value. But it's really neat to learn the different currencies, the different coins. 1943. Thank you, Oceans. And I've become friends with Oceans. His channel makes mine look tiny, but he's a super great guy. And that's kind of the folks that I deal with. I deal with people that'll deal with me. If your channel's so big you're going to ignore me and not talk to me, then I don't really have time for you. Yeah, and I find that important, because there's a lot of channels out there that will tell you, well, you're not paying me, so I don't have time to talk to you. And I'm
Oh gosh, you run across that too in your
yeah,
community? Oh,
yeah.
we get
And
that. We get that here in ours too.
I'm not about that. I mean, to me,
Oh,
I'm here to help people. I'm here to learn. I'm here to teach. I'm here, whatever. And it's not about money, you know.
yeah, no. It's about the art. I mean, or the collectability or the art. Yeah, we get a few of those in our community as well. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was went to other people as well. That's crazy. Um, your channel is pretty big. You almost have 2,000 subs, so your channel is getting more popular. And we have the links down below. We have your personal website pinged on top of the chat here. We have your Facebook or your Instagram as well. And we also have your personal website, Scorpion Metals, on the and down there as well. I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight, Greg. I actually knew I was going to get an education, and I did. I wasn't disappointed at all. Um, I enjoyed this so much. I knew I was so hyped up for this. I told you that before the show. I said I'm jazzed to get to have for this show, and I am. I wish I would. The only thing I wish you would have had some more pieces to show. I wanted to see him brag about your skills. But next time through, you will be here next time through, and I want to see some pieces that you've
Yeah,
created.
I may have some pieces next time. Like I said, I don't hold on to a lot of stuff. It just kind of goes, they call and order it, and when it's done, I ship it out normally. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
conscientious stacker. I did a 10-ounce bar for him. I melted it, and he wanted skulls coming out of it, so I melted it with skulls coming out, and then I toned it for him, and then I laser engraved every side of that thing, with the pictures that he wanted and the weight and all that stuff. And that's
That's so
probably
cool.
one of the more neat things I think I've done
I
so
bet you
far.
have that on display too. I bet that when people come in, they'll see the art sitting there, and they'll
That
probably.
was a whole city I 3D printed for him, and a T2 hand sitting up like this, and I made it so the bar would sit in the hand, and the hand sits in the middle of the city. It's cool.
Wow, that's really cool. I can't wait to see it next time through. I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank the chat, all you new folks out here that came out and supported the show. I appreciate you. I really do. Again, we do this 3 times a week, and we interview all sorts of people here on 8 Questions with. And so, if you want to come back and say hi, you'll definitely be welcome to do so. Um, all right. Before we go, we will let you know what's going on here on the channel. Next Monday night, we have our good friend Kyle Flett will be with us at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock on Tuesday, the 27th, we have another podcaster coming on, Charles Sherrod from The Dive. He will be here with us at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. And let me go ahead and read off the rest of the week. This is my calendar. I can't go without the calendar. And then on Wednesday the 28th, we have filmmaker Brandon Murphy will be with us on the 28th. We will be dark on the 29th. We will be dark on the 29th, but we will be heading into March and Women in Entertainment Month by talking to two men. Our last show before we get into women in film month. We'll be talking to film director Terry Darrell and actor John Egan of the movie Harlow's Haunt, and they will be here on Friday, 8 o'clock on the 1st. And yeah, all right, that's all we got for tonight. Don't forget the Midnight Hour over on the Hobbs Horror Channel, and thank you for coming out. Stay right where you are just for 1 minute, Greg, and to the chat and to everybody else, thank you so much for being here, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.